You know what I love about GTA Online? It's the sheer amount of vehicle variety. Next to dedicated war simulation games and racing games, GTA Online might actually have the largest collection of vehicles in any game right now. If you look up on GTA Wiki, it actually tells you that the game has over 800 vehicles. GTA Base puts this number at 792, which is slightly less, but it's still a truly massive amount no matter which way you put it. And of course, this collection includes everything from cars and boats to helicopters and fighter jets. So it really got me thinking here, of the nearly 800 vehicles in GTA Online, which ones are actually worth buying? Because let's be real here, almost nobody is interested in the boats, and several of the aircraft also have zero practical use outside of very niche cases. Some are even completely useless, like the blimp and the dodo. So to narrow things down for you guys, I decided to create a list of 10 vehicles in GTA Online that everyone must own, whether they're solo or playing in a squad. And these include both land and air vehicles, but more importantly here, all of these vehicles have a well-defined purpose, which is to say they either help you make a lot of money or they keep you safe while you're traveling from point A to point B. And my first vehicle on this list, the Savage, is something that you absolutely cannot do without if you want some serious aerial firepower. While we do have other attack helicopters such as the Akula or even the Hunter, and those are more preferable in the modern era of GTA Online due to their superior survivability, neither of them offer the full complement of weaponry to a solo pilot. For instance, the FH1 Hunter's most fearsome weapon is that chin-mounted autocannon, which rips cars apart like they're made out of tofu and tosses players 10 feet into the air with a single explosion. However, you cannot use this weapon unless you've got a buddy to ride shotgun with you. And while the Akula's co-pilot weapon isn't really nearly as extreme in terms of capability here, it does have other things going for it, like the stealth mode as well as superb armor. In contrast to these two, the Savage is a much more focused aircraft. It doesn't have bombs, it doesn't have a chin-mounted autocannon, but what it does have is a massive Gatling gun ripped straight out of the Hydra, the pre-nerf Hydra, which means it is currently the most powerful aircraft-mounted explosive cannon in GTA Online since the ones on the Laser and the Hydra got nerfed a couple years ago. And it doesn't require a co-pilot to operate either, which means solo players can massacre entire squads of enemies in PvP or even PvE with their personal Savage. By the way, notice how I said personal here, even though this is technically a Pegasus vehicle? Well, that's because you can fly one of these into your very own hangar and summon it like you would any other personal aircraft. It will just spawn at the closest area that has enough space to fit this giant attack helicopter. The good news here doesn't end either, because the Savage is way cheaper than both the Akula and the Hunter at just $2.5 million, and that's before you unlock the trade price, which dropped this helicopter's price tag further down to just $1.9 million. I don't know about you guys, but I think that's one hell of a bargain for an Mi-22 Hind. To unlock this trade price, all you have to do is complete the convoy setup mission for the Pacific Standard OG heist. I will say this though to warn you guys, the Savage, despite its amazing firepower, has one glaring weakness, and that's the subpar armor. When this thing was still new back in 2015, being able to tank one homing missile was considered a big deal. These days though, if your armored attack helicopter starts smoking after one missile, it's not going to hold up against the railgun and the homing launcher spam that goes on in public lobbies. That's why people tend to prefer the Akula or the Hunter. Those can tank a bit more damage before going down. However, if you hit hard, you hit fast, and you vanish before the enemy gets the chance to counterattack, there's no better attack helicopter in the game. The Savage is very cheap, it has the best explosive cannon of any aircraft in GTA Online like I said earlier, and it's decently fast too, at 145 miles an hour. Not on par with the Akula or Hunter once again, but it's absolutely not some kind of slow pig either. Alright, next, we're gonna talk about armor. Big armor. And when it comes to SUVs, nothing carries as much armor as a Nightshark. This thing looks mean, has all-wheel drive, handles really well off-road, and it can hit a top speed of 105 miles per hour, which makes it one of the fastest armored vehicles in the game. Plus, it can tank up to 27 homing missiles or 9 RPGs. Just so you know, 27 homing missiles means that the Oppressor Mark II Griefer doesn't have the missile capacity to take you down in one go. He'll have to request an entirely brand new Mark II because he's going to run out of missiles on the first one, and that's if he manages to land those missiles in the first place. Because the Nightshark isn't some defenseless punching bag either. You can actually throw sticky bombs out the side window if you don't get the window armor upgrade, which I recommend you should stay away from anyway because they're functionally useless. The Vapid FMJ Mark V with an HSW upgrade is also worth considering here because currently, at the time of me making this video, it's the fastest car in all of GTA Online. Like, okay, a BR8 is 0.2 seconds per lap faster in Bruffy's official testing, but do you really want to drive that thing around as your daily when it falls apart after hitting a speed bump at the wrong angle? I mean, come on, just look at the FMJ Mark V. It is gorgeous. It's a spitting image of the new 2017 Ford GT, and it will whoop an HSW Niobe around the racetrack. The Niobe is slightly faster at 159 miles per hour, but the Mark V isn't far behind either at close to 156 miles per hour. And I think it's a bit easier to drive for the average player out there because of all the extra downforce as well as superb braking. And if somehow the Mark V isn't fast enough for you and you want to travel around Los Santos even faster, there's only one vehicle in the game that fits the bill. Only one vehicle that offers a meaningful upgrade in performance, and that vehicle is the HSW Hakuchou Drag, which is nearly 2 seconds per lap faster than the Mark V in Bruffy 1322's standardized racing test. Now, for most of you players out there who aren't accustomed to riding bikes, the drag will probably feel a bit awkward at first because it's even more unruly than your regular crotch rocket like the Shinobi or the Shitaro, but those sacrifices you make in terms of braking and turn rate are more than compensated for by the drag's insane straight line acceleration and high top speed. Once you drive around in this thing for a couple days, everything else on wheels feels like you're driving in slow motion. Almost like you've got Franklin's special powers from story mode where the world just slows down around you. If you can master the drag, you can master any bike in GTA Online very easily. And again, if you master the drag, you're well on the way to setting some serious speedrun records in heists like the Cluck and Bell Farm Raid and the No Way Out missions, where weaponized vehicles like the Oppressor Mark II, for example, are not allowed. But what if you want to use a weaponized vehicle despite it not being allowed for a particular heist? Well, I've also got you covered here with a little cheat car. Meet the Vigilante, aka the Batmobile. Because Batman doesn't kill, it's perfectly legal to drive this thing around in the Dr. Dre finale or during any of the setup missions for either Cluck and Bell or No Way Out, for example. You can even use it for contact missions, bail office bounties if you want. Honestly, anything you want in GTA Online. It's treated no differently from a Honda Civic in that sense, except this 8-ton behemoth packs homing missiles and a machine gun under its hood. And you get a giant rocket on the back for when you need even more boosted speed than what it already offers. And by the way, that rocket boost is probably the most busted one of any car in the game. And those homing missiles that I talked about, well, they are on par with the ones in the legendary Ruiner 2000. Only these shoot up at a slight angle. So yeah, this thing is an absolute beast. If you don't have one already, you need to get it ASAP. Next up, for all you squad players out there who do free roam lobbies, MC missions, maybe even CEO crate work together, I've got something really special that will boost your teamwork immensely here, the Insurgent Pickup Custom. First, to get this vehicle, you'll need 3 things. A bunker, an MOC to go with said bunker, and a regular HVY Insurgent pickup truck that will cost you $1.8 million on Warstock cash and carry. Then you'll spend an additional $200,000 in your MOC, upgrading your Insurgent to a custom variant, and here's what you'll get in return for all that money you spent. The most heavily armored, hardest hitting squad truck in all of GTA Online. The only other vehicle that's in the same league is the Bravado half-track with the quad machine gun upgrade, but it tops out at 58 miles per hour, while the Insurgent Pickup Custom can zoom around at nearly twice that top speed. The most impressive thing about this truck though is that you can fit 9 players in here, which ironically is triple what the half-track can carry despite that being a much larger vehicle. Also, 9 players is basically a third of the entire lobby in one vehicle, so theoretically you can fit an entire MC club, a whole CEO organization, or literally everyone you know from college who plays GTA Online into one single Insurgent Pickup Custom. Then on the top you'll find this big 50 cal machine gun that chews through cars and aircraft like they're made out of tissue paper. Upgrade it to a triple barrel minigun and it will actually do slightly less damage to players per shot, but vastly more damage to vehicles, like double the vehicle damage of the regular 50 cal machine gun. And if you're looking for some aerial squad action, meet the flying counterpart to the Insurgent Pickup Custom, which is the Avenger. Actually, it's more like a flying MOC, which is why it comes with all these turrets and a terminal from which you can launch a whole bunch of missions to make some extra cash with. One of those missions, on Parade, even unlocks the trade price for the F-160 Raichu, and the goodies don't stop there. The Avenger can also carry vehicles in its cargo bay, so you can technically park your Avenger mid-air, hop out in a Vigilante or a Deluxo, wreak havoc on whoever is beneath you, and fly back into your Avenger with your thruster jetpack, which, by the way, is also carried inside of the Avenger. In addition to those 3 insta-kill turrets of death, the Avenger also packs homing missiles, bombs, and enough armor to withstand 24 homing missiles or 8 total RPGs. Plus, it has VTOL capabilities, a missile lock-on jammer, and an optional stealth module that lets it go off radar for other players. But let's say you don't want a flying fortress. Instead, you want a fighter jet. something that's fast and nimble and designed primarily for air-to-air combat. In that case, you cannot go wrong with the Raichu, which is the undisputed king of the sky in GTA Online. It doesn't have the best autocannons in the game, it doesn't turn as fast as the Pyro or Starling, and it's expensive. However, none of that matters once you consider that the Raichu has stealth, it is the fastest vehicle in all of GTA Online by a significant margin here, and it has VTOL plus excellent armor, which makes it the perfect aircraft for assassination style hits where you vanish from the map, appear for a few seconds, snipe someone with your cannons or missiles, and then vanish again. But let's say the other guy doesn't rely on his map. He instead uses his eyes to visually scan the sky. Is the Raichu worthless in that scenario? Far from it, because the VTOL mode on this thing is much better than the one you get on the Hydra, and you can activate it mid-flight to pull off some insane Top Gun Maverick style maneuvers that will surprise actual dedicated dogfighters like the Pyro and the Starling once they realize that the Raichu isn't just some fat pig that just goes fast in a straight line. For my next vehicle, we're going to talk about the underrated Buffalo STX from Bravado, which since the release of the more expensive EVX variant has become a less enticing option for anyone looking to buy a serious Amani Tech car, but I prefer engines to electric motors and I like how the STX handles. It's got better grip than most muscle cars, it brakes well for its weight, and it has a decent-ish top speed of 126 miles an hour, which might seem dated these days, but compare it to old supercars like the Progen T20, and all of a sudden, it really doesn't seem that bad at all. The Buffalo STX also comes with bullet-resistant windows, which are nice to have if the opponent has really good aim, because say in the Ocelot Virtue or the Buffalo EVX for example, you can still get headshotted through the glass as those aren't bullet-resistant. Of course, FMJ rounds will still go through in just one hit, but most people don't carry FMJ on their primary Mark II weapons. And if you really want that extra top speed and the increased explosive resistance, well, I guess the EVX, if you want to stick to a Buffalo or even the Ocelot Virtue, will be a better choice for you. But for me, when I'm just chilling in a free roam lobby or I'm doing my daily money grind, I find myself taking out the STX more often simply because of the way it sounds and how it handles. The Buffalo EVX with HSW upgrades is faster in terms of top speed, but because it's an EV, it feels like a pig on roller skates. And I think Dodge also agrees with me because they're silently phasing out the abomination that is that Charger EV. Lastly, we've got one final vehicle that I recommend most out of this entire list, and it's one that I rank the highest as it's a must-buy for any serious GTA Online player. And that vehicle is the infamous Forbidden Broomstick, aka the Oppressor Mark II, which is every new player's nightmare whenever they log into a GTA Online public lobby. But hear me out when I say this. What other vehicle is there in the game that's as good as the Mark II for general money grinding? I mean, it fits literally anywhere, goes really fast, has zero engine spool up, and shoots, well, decent homing missiles nowadays. They got nerfed, they're kind of as good as the Sparrow, not really. They don't have amazing tracking for PvP fights, but they're still really good in PvE. And the Oppressor spawns right next to you, unlike a jet or attack helicopter, which means you can react dynamically to opponents and summon an Oppressor whenever you feel like you're about to get targeted. Or you can use it for counter griefing whenever one of your friends does an MC or bunker cell mission. So if you don't have one right now, buy yourself a Terabyte, do 5 client jobs to unlock the $6 million trade price, and then get yourself your very own Oppressor Mark II right this moment. Even at $8 million, I think it's a good investment. But at $6 million, it's still a steal of a deal. And with that, folks, we finally arrived at the end of our top 10 vehicle list. I want to know, what do you guys think of these picks here? Are there any vehicles you'd personally like to see added or vehicles that you think I missed out on? Let me know down in the comments. Definitely, of course, I could have talked about the Terabyte more, the Acid Lab, the Sparrow in place of the Oppressor Mark II. I feel like those are really obvious picks, so I didn't need to repeat myself compared to everyone else talking about the same thing. But let me know down in the comments if there's some other underrated picks that you would have liked to see besides those. Anyways, thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to drop a like on this video if you found it informative. Consider subscribing to the channel if you guys are new. And as always, I'll catch you guys in the next GTA 5 online video. Adios amigos.